Hey, welcome back to the Home Improvement Show. We are on the floor of the Caesars Superdome at the New Orleans Home and Garden Show. Open today between now and 7 o'clock. Also tomorrow between 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. And as Courtney and I were describing, there are aisles and aisles of resources of things that any listener would certainly appreciate. A lot of value here. We certainly encourage you to come, get a ticket, walk the show, bring, if you're looking at having some either repairs done, or if you want to do a renovation or a new construction home, bring your blueprints, bring your specifications, bring your insurance claims. If you haven't had estimates yet, these are where the experts are. They can help you with that. This previous segment, we were talking with Doug about the American Policy Holder Association, and our next guest is T.J. Ware from Paradise Claims. And T.J. actually serves on the board of the American Policy Association, which I think is a really cool thing, because when, from my past experience, anybody serving on the board of a nonprofit third-party organization like that has the heart of wanting to help people. Mm-hmm. And TJ actually serves as a public adjuster, and he's got a wealth of information and experience that has been working a lot in our state. And I know we have a lot of listeners besides Louisiana, but he's been working a lot in our state because of the recent events we've been having on the Mississippi and Louisiana Gulf Coast area. So welcome to the show, TJ. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
So one of the things that you mentioned right as we were preparing for this is the need to submit a proof of loss for any insurance policyholder. To kind of break that down, drill into that a little bit. Why is that so important?
In Louisiana specifically, the laws were written in a way that really benefits the homeowner or the property owner in an insurance claim as long as they submit a proof of loss. And there are several things that are required to qualify as a substantial proof of loss. But if you hire somebody, like a public adjuster can help you prepare it. Anytime an attorney works for a policyholder in Louisiana, they will prepare a proof of loss and submit that, and that's essentially a total of all of the damages, the amounts, and somewhat of a narrative usually is involved saying this is what happened. When you submit that package to the insurance company in Louisiana, legally they have to pay your claim within 30 days.
So then it starts the time clock, and it basically forces them to action if properly done, right?
That's exactly right. And if they go beyond the 30 days, which is very common, they begin to incur penalties. And if you never submit that proof of loss, they can just keep piecemeal paying a little bit by a little bit by a little bit over the course of a year or two until you lose your right to any further legal recourse. But if you submit that proof of loss, they have 30 days to pay you, or they have to start paying you plus penalties.
And let's be very clear here. Submitting that proof of loss, that is not submitting a claim for an insurance claim. It is different, right?
That is different, right? Your initial claim does not serve as a proof of loss. Once you have the claim filed, usually you will, in order to satisfy the proof of loss requirement, you need to compile all of your estimates, you need to have proof and photos of documentation, and you need to submit the complete package to the insurance company. When we work for a client, we also send it with a payment demand, a demand for payment saying, we totaled up, there's $276,000 worth of damage here, we demand this payment within 30 days per the Louisiana law.
So tell me this proof of loss, what type of person should consider doing this? Is this someone who got a little bit of damage, a whole lot of damage, or maybe they're not being treated fairly? Like, talk to me about who's the ideal person to submit this.
I would say it would be anyone with any significant claim. I mean, if your claim, if there's really not any damage that you've found, and it might be just a little bit of personal property or something, it may not make sense to go hire a professional to build a proof of loss. But if you had roofing, siding, if you had water enter your home or building, I think that it would be very wise to submit that. And we're already kind of late. Like, you should have submitted it a few weeks after the storm, but better late than never. And all of this stuff has to be done within 2 years, essentially, of the day the storm hits, because when you go a day past that, you may lose all rights to any recourse.
So let's talk about this. Previously, before we went live, you talked about being in the Lake Charles region, right? That storm, Laura, Delta, we're now going on, we're well into over a year past. They're starting to get to where that 2-year mark is, that expiration mark is actually important.
It's very valid. It's something that we talk about all the time. We're going to spend the next 5 months in Lake Charles because of that exact issue. One thing that people need to remember is that for claims professionals or attorneys to prepare the documentation, it takes us time. They can't wait until a week or 2 weeks before the statute of limitations expires this August. I believe August 26th is the last day to file suit, which means if you're going to hire an attorney, you would have needed to hire that attorney probably by sometime in July.
So one of the challenges that we hear quite often here in our region, I'm sure it's also, United States wide, is that it's very difficult to get workers. It's very difficult to actually get estimates. And our estimates only are valid for maybe 7 to 10 days at the most because of the frequent changes in material and labor cost. How do you work through that process when you're dealing with a claim that may take some time to go through that process?
Honestly, there's really not an easy way to do that. Like we do use literature that's put out by organizations like JS Held that shows the fluctuations in the market. We try to get ahead of that as much as possible, but I don't think there's any way to fully get ahead of it. You've really got to be on point. You've got to be on top of what's going on. And it's a lot of work to stay up to date on the pricing and everything going on in the markets, or even availability. There's a lot of materials that people can't get, and roofing companies are trying to order polyiso for flat roofs, and they're giving them a delivery date in late 2023.
Sure.
Wow.
So how do you work through that process when you have everything approved is moving towards that, but you can't get materials? Specifically, I'm talking about is the recoverable depreciation side of this. Is there a deadline as you going through that, hey, you need to prove that you even made these improvements? You can't quite make them because you're waiting on materials.
So it's very important that you let the insurance company know that you have an intention to make repairs and recover that depreciation. If you will put that in writing to the insurance company, if they were to try to deny that benefit later, usually a court will recognize that correspondence.
Okay, so very good. Great information. TJ Ware, Paradise Claims, LLC. Share your website. How can folks reach you besides coming here at the show between today and tomorrow?
And where are you located in the show, too?
Yeah, we're right over here against, pretty close to the radio station booth, just right down the aisle here. And I don't even remember the booth number.
No, it's okay.
Our website is paradiseclaims.com. We've got a lot of information there about the statute of limitations coming up for Hurricane Laura.
I'm actually looking at the countdown on your website right now.
There's a countdown because it's very important. Once people go past that, they may lose all ability to recover any more money.
Yeah,
excellent.
166 days, 11 hours down to the minute.
Yep.
TJ, thank you so much for what you do. Thank you for coming and talking with us today. We appreciate it. And guys, if you want more information, go to paradiseclaims.com and check that out as well.
Thanks, guys.
All right, folks, we're right back after this. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. A lot more of the Home Improvement Show left to go here on the Big 870.